Something has just come to light about King Charles that will leave many in Britain furious. It's tied to his own food company, and once again, it raises serious questions about where his loyalties truly lie. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. It's now been revealed that King Charles III's very own food company, Duchy, has been using halal slaughtering processes. That's right, products sold under the king's brand are tied to Islamic ritual slaughter. Now let's be clear, this isn't some minor issue. Halal slaughter involves cutting the throat of the animal while prayers are recited. And for millions of British people who expect transparency in food production, this revelation is nothing short of disgraceful. Customers buying from Duchy products under the belief they were supporting traditional British farming are instead funding practices rooted in Islamic law. And this raises the bigger question: why does our king keep bowing to Islam? Charles has a long track record here. For decades, he's spoken warmly about Islam, publicly praising Sharia principles, and even calling Islam one of the greatest treasuries of spiritual wisdom. Time and again, he's chosen to align himself with Islamic causes, while ordinary British citizens feel their own culture, heritage, and traditions being sidelined. This is King Charles of England in 1993.
Islam is part of our past and our present in all fields of human endeavor. It has helped to create modern Europe. It is part of our own inheritance, not a thing apart. Islam can teach us today a way of understanding and living in the world which Christianity itself is the poorer for having lost. Our judgment of Islam has been grossly distorted by taking the extremes to be the norm. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a serious mistake. It is like judging the quality of life in Britain by the existence of murder and rape, child abuse and drug addiction. The extremes do exist and they must be dealt with, but when used as a basis to judge a society, they lead to distortion and unfairness. We in the West need also, I think, to understand the Islamic world's view of us. There is nothing to be gained and much harm to be done, it seems to me, by refusing to comprehend the extent to which many people in the Islamic world genuinely fear our own Western materialism and mass culture as a deadly challenge to their Islamic culture and way of life. The fact is that our form of materialism can be offensive to devout Muslims, and I do not just mean the extremists among them.
This is him during Ramadan.
As the Quran says, God does not burden any soul with more than it can bear. We hope that you have a blessed and fulfilling Ramadan. Peace be upon you all. Ramadan Mubarak. As Muslims across the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth observe the beginning of the holiest of months in the Islamic calendar, the month of Ramadan, I just wanted to convey my heartfelt best wishes to you all, and to tell you just how much my wife and I are thinking of you at this special time of year. This would have been a joyous time. Mosques would be filling with life, Muslim families would be coming together to share food and prayers, and many of them would be inviting their neighbours and friends, of all faiths and none, to join them. My wife and I can only offer you all our kindest and most special wishes, and stress just how greatly the contribution of Muslims to the life of the United Kingdom is appreciated and valued, embodying the Ramadan spirit of charity and selflessness. As the Quran says, God does not burden any soul with more than it can bear. We hope that you have a blessed and fulfilling Ramadan. Peace be upon you all.
This is supposed to be the King of the United Kingdom, a monarch whose loyalty should be to the people, the culture, and the values of this nation. Yet, with every passing year, Charles seems more and more willing to embrace and promote practices that have no roots in Britain's Christian heritage. And it makes you wonder, where do his loyalties truly lie? Because if the crown is meant to represent the people, our history, and our traditions, then why are we seeing decisions that directly undermine them? Why are our institutions bending over backwards to accommodate practices that most of the country never asked for? This is about far more than one food label. It's about trust, it's about identity, and it's about a monarchy that increasingly looks detached from the people it claims to represent. The truth is, Charles has been in bed with Islam for decades now, and this latest revelation is just another reminder that our monarchy is not standing firmly for the British people, but pandering to outside pressures, and the British public has every right to be furious. In other news, Matt Goodwin has issued a stark warning about inflammatory political rhetoric following Charlie Kirk's death, urging politicians and commentators to moderate their language when discussing conservatives. Matt argued that the same individuals who caution against dangerous rhetoric regarding immigration and its potential to incite violence against minorities fail to apply similar standards when labeling conservatives as fascists, Nazis, far right. He emphasized that such extreme characterizations have persisted since Donald Trump announced his presidential candidacy in 2015, with constant predictions about democracy's demise and human rights violations. Stop with the catastrophizing, tone it down, Matt stated, calling for a fundamental shift in how political opponents are discussed in public discourse. Matt urged Western elites to engage in self-examination and moderate their approach to political discourse. There are lots of people in the ruling class in the West who need to look in the mirror and tone it down, he declared during his GB News appearance. The political commentator advocated for a fundamental change in how conservatives and classical liberals are perceived and discussed in public forums. Start treating conservatives and classical liberals as what they are, normal people with a different opinion, Matt emphasized. His comments reflected broader concerns about the radicalizing effects of social media platforms, where extreme rhetoric can flourish unchecked. The discussion touched on how online environments, particularly X, can amplify inflammatory content and potentially inspire violent actions among mentally unstable individuals who fail to distinguish between internet trolling and genuine calls to action. During his appearance, Matt drew parallels between Mr. Kirk's death and some of America's most notorious political tragedies. Charlie Kirk's death is a political assassination on the same scale as John F. Kennedy and the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, he stated. The comparison underscored Matt's view of the gravity of the situation and its implications for political discourse. Meanwhile, arrangements were being made for Kirk's final journey home. Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance planned to travel to Salt Lake City to offer condolences to Kirk's family and close associates. Following the visit, Mr. Kirk's remains, along with his family and friends, would be transported to Phoenix, Arizona, aboard Air Force Two, according to sources familiar with the arrangements. Matt specifically highlighted recent inflammatory language from Labour politician John McDonnell, who had referred to Nigel Farage as a Nazi earlier in the week. This example formed part of Matt's broader critique of political rhetoric that has intensified since Trump's entry into presidential politics in 2015. The commentator traced a pattern of escalating language that consistently portrayed conservative figures as existential threats to democratic institutions. Social media's role in amplifying such rhetoric emerged as a key concern during the discussion, with participants noting how platforms like X can create environments where extreme statements gain traction. The conversation acknowledged how online spaces often reward provocative content, potentially influencing vulnerable individuals who might misinterpret hyperbolic political commentary as genuine calls for action. Matt Goodwin's intervention ultimately serves as a wider call for restraint and responsibility in political discourse. By linking Charlie Kirk's death to a culture of escalating rhetoric, he warned that unchecked language can have real-world consequences. His appeal was not only for politicians, but for media figures and elites to reflect on their own role in shaping the debate. As Kirk's family prepares for his final journey, Goodwin's words underline a sobering message. If public discourse continues to be fueled by hyperbole and demonization, the risk of further division and violence will only deepen. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.